Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Canadian Prairie. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with the Nutrien Ag Solutions. Checking out temperatures here across the region, we've got an area of low pressure that continues to kind of spin away across eastern portions of the region, slowly making its way out of here, but we've got a cold front that extends along that from that trough down to the south and across the Midwest into the central plains of the U.S., such that we've got cooler air coming into the prairie here, cooler by mid-July standards on the backside of this system. And we can see the wrapped up system. This is gorgeous satellite imagery. The storm center well off to the north across northeastern portions of Manitoba. But again, that cold front extends like this all the way through Ontario, down into the Great Lakes of the U.S. and into the central plains and Midwest of the United States, such that we're going to have severe weather down in this part of the region in my neck of the woods later on this afternoon and evening. So large storm system, far-reaching impacts here, and still seeing some of that light precipitation making its way on the back side of that storm system. Some showers here from Grand Prairie down to Edmonton, maybe a few raindrops in Calgary here later on this morning, and then some scattered, very light showers across kind of between Saskatoon and Regina down toward the Winnipeg area. Not anything significant at this point, certainly no severe weather ongoing right now. Severe weather continues to be a low threat here, especially compared to the last few weeks. We'll continue to see the chance for scattered showers here on the backside of the system, but again, much of the instability well down to the south, being kind of pushed off to the south and to the east by that cold front. So cooler, more stable air on the backside here, continuing to see those clouds and maybe, again, a few showers holding on this afternoon across primarily southeastern portions of Saskatchewan and southern Manitoba. But the rain is going to be very, very widely scattered here. Most areas remaining pretty much on the dry side. We'll see another quick moving wave emerge here as we get into Thursday morning. This is going to bring a renewed chance for some scattered showers and storms from west to east across the prairie, starting in central and southern Alberta on Thursday afternoon and evening. Let's head into about midnight on Thursday night and then into Friday morning. This is sunrise on Friday morning. Area of low pressure kind of right about here. Again, here's that kind of clockwise or counterclockwise comma shape. The comma is the word that I'm looking for there. As this thing moves from west to east on Friday, again, stalling out, kind of leaving rain north of Highway 16. So let me backtrack, show you the better organized, maybe thunderstorm threat here on Friday afternoon and evening. Kind of watching for the southern half, really far southern Manitoba for maybe the threat for a strong storm or two on Friday afternoon and evening. Otherwise, generally just looking at some rain activity north of Highway 16 as we stay pretty much on the dry side in the dry slot on this storm system. So opportunities for precipitation here over the next 5 days as we keep kind of an active pattern here. The storm system's progressing from west to east, but the difference is if we go back to late June, early July, we're talking about a lot more in the way of widespread heavy rain, slow-moving, big, severe thunderstorms, and that's just not the case right now. Active pattern, but much lighter, much more scattered and isolated nature to the precipitation across the region. Again, much of the instability highest well off to our south across the U.S., south of the Canadian and U.S. border. But as we get into Friday, again, we'll see that instability slowly creeping back northward with that second storm system. So as we get into Friday afternoon and evening, I'll be watching southeastern Saskatchewan into central and southern Manitoba for the threat for a couple of strong storms making their way across that region. So as we look at total precipitation between now and midday on Saturday, so the next 3.5 days, again, much of that north of Highway 16 here, where you're going to get the more widespread measurable precipitation, anywhere from 20 to 40 millimeters of precipitation. As you head south from there, Calgary over toward the Winnipeg area, talking about much more widely isolated and scattered precipitation opportunities. Some people may end up being totally dry here over the next 3.5 days. Some people picking up at least scattered amounts here. The best chance for some significant precipitation, and again, that chance for severe weather, is going to be Friday afternoon and evening, generally across far southern and eastern Saskatchewan into the southern half of Manitoba. So the players here, what's keeping us active? Again, we got this big trough anchored across this region right now. This is the one, again, the center of which across northern Manitoba, with that front extending down into the Midwest. This area of low pressure, this trough begins to rotate off to the north and to the east, but a second one comes in quickly behind it. So we get a little period of some subtle ridging. That's going to allow for that warm up here and a really gorgeous Thursday for a lot of us across the prairie. But as this next trough rotates into the region, cooler air will once again follow, and again, cool by July standards, really resetting us back to 5 degrees or so cooler than average. Mid-July, not that bad. A little bit of a break from the heat, especially across parts of the east where it was felt the most here over the last several weeks. But As we take a look at what the precipitation forecast does with this, as we continue to be relatively active as far as, storms moving from west to east, storm systems. As we start off, area of low pressure across northern Manitoba, that quickly lifts off to the north and east over the next 24 to 48 hours, finally making room for our next storm system to come sweeping in here as we get into early Friday. I remember that chance here on Friday across portions of Alberta, late Thursday into Friday night. Thursday looking like a beautiful day across the prairie. So Friday, as we head into the mid-afternoon hours, that's when we'll start to watch the atmosphere destabilize across eastern southern portions of Saskatchewan into central and southern portions of Manitoba. So if there's going to be a severe weather day here or a organized, more robust severe weather threat over the next 5 days, it's going to be Friday, and it's going to be located here across primarily central and southern Manitoba. If it slows down a bit, maybe that threat becomes a little bit more high across southern and eastern portions of Saskatchewan. So this storm exits the prairie here as we head early into Saturday. We'll see the chance for some showers lingering, again, primarily north of Highway 16 as we get into the day on Saturday. A break here as we get into Sunday, and then our next storm system begins to emerge here, a little disorganized, but the next chance for some showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two emerges here already by the time we get to Monday and Tuesday. So really continuing to keep this train going of storm systems making its way across the prairie, but again, much more scattered, much more isolated precipitation amounts here as we head through the next 7 days. So the total precipitation forecast from the European model, again, this is not exactly how it's going to lay out here. We're just taking this model's, the word for it over the next several days, but it outlines the pattern well with the heavy rain threat, the more organized, widespread, soaking rains here north of 20 to 40 millimeters of precipitation is going to be north of Highway 16. Maybe a slightly better opportunity here from Peace River down toward maybe Edmonton. But then as you head south from there, the southern half of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, not looking completely dry, though some may get missed here, but keeping active, but much more scattered and isolated in nature. I'm kind of sounding like a broken record here. It's an active pattern, but it's not one that's shaping up to produce a lot of widespread severe weather or a lot of widespread heavy rain south of Highway 16. So here's the probability of picking up a half an inch or more of precipitation over the next week. So that would be, 12.5 millimeters of precipitation. So again, your chance is going to be highest well north of, or not well north, but generally along and north of Highway 16 here across Alberta and Saskatchewan, the Peace River region down toward Edmonton, a better chance for some more measurable, steady precipitation. And then again, much more scattered, much more isolated across the south of Highway 16. With slightly higher chance for more significant precipitation and severe weather, primarily focused on Friday here across central and southern Manitoba. So your temperatures then, we've got cooler air on the way, or cooler air in the area right now. On the backside of this current storm system, we have warmer air on the way for a gorgeous Thursday, getting back to near average, if not a little bit warmer than average on Thursday afternoon, with cooler air filtering back in for the weekend, dropping temperatures back several degrees cooler than average across the entire prairie. So Calgary, your next 10 days look a bit like this, warming up to a high of 26 on Thursday afternoon before we reset back down to the lower 20s. Again, perfectly pleasant here. It's mid-July, so a little bit of cool down, not going to be the end of the world. Edmonton, similarly, holding on to the lower 20s here as we head to the weekend. Saskatoon, a high of 24 on Thursday, 24 on Friday, down to 21 on Saturday. Regina, 27 on Friday. Again, maybe looking at some severe weather threat across that region if this storm system slows down just a hair. We'll have the opportunity to talk about that one on Friday morning. And then Winnipeg, look at that, a high of 31 before the next cool front moves through, dropping things back down to about 27 on Saturday, and then highs generally in the mid-20s as we wrap up the weekend and head into early next week. Have a great day. We'll talk to you all once again on Friday morning.